So we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, great. So I am going to turn my video on here for the very beginning. Welcome everyone to this training on the secrets to self-motivation. I am thrilled to be here with you this afternoon. This training is presented by ComPsych, your employee assistance provider. So I'm going to go over a couple of housekeeping things before we dive into all the content for this training today. Now, the first thing is that you can expect this training to be about 45 minutes long with plenty of time for questions. So whether you have questions as we go throughout the training, you can pop those right into the chat function tool. And then also at the end, there will be plenty of time for those then as well. Now, when it comes to our training, you may have noticed, I think all of you are silenced with your microphones, and that's just simply to eliminate any sort of extra background noise, whether dogs barking, kids in the background, if you're at home, the Amazon delivery person at your front door, all of those fun expressions that can also be distracting. And then when it comes to getting the most out of this training, I highly encourage you to have something to write with and something to take notes with. And the reason being is what we write down, we're more likely to remember. And those things that we remember, we're more likely to put into action. And those things that we put into action, well, that's what creates the results that we want to see in our life, right? So if you don't have something to write with and something to take notes with, go grab something. We're not going anywhere. So just come right back and join us. And then when it comes to just a tiny tidbit about me, who is this person taking you through this training today? You know, like I said, I am thrilled to be here with you this afternoon. My name is Amanda Belke, and I'm a professionally trained life coach and speaker. So I've done a lot of my training with Tony Robbins and his company, Robbins Research International, as well as with CTI. So I get to work with people who are just like you in over 15 different countries for private one-on-one coaching. And then I also have the beautiful opportunity to work with lots of different companies and corporations that invite me to come in and work with their leaders and their teams in order for them to truly excel. All right, now we're ready to dive into the good stuff. I'm going to be turning off my video so that it's not distracting as we go through this content today for our training. And when it comes to the start of our training, before we even dive into our agenda, I would love for you can share it in the chat, or if you want to write it down in your notebook, but I would love for you to share what your intention is for being a part of this training today. You know, you could have chose to be anywhere doing anything today, and it's September 1st. It's a fresh new month full of limitless possibilities, and you are here with us for the secrets of self-motivation. So go ahead and share what your intention is, or go ahead and write that down. And the reason that's important is when we set our intention, it creates clarity. And we have that clarity that then produces that focus. And where our focus goes, that's where energy flows. So that is the importance of knowing what we want to get out of our time today, knowing how we want to improve and grow throughout our time together today. All right, so let's dive in here. And our agenda for today is right here. So when it comes to our agenda, this is where we're going to be focusing today. We're going to talk about what is that self-motivation thing? What are the 5 factors that significantly contribute to self-motivation, and how do you keep that self-motivation going? How do you keep that momentum going? That's our area for today. That's our roadmap of where we're going to be going. Now, the first piece, we got to start with the basics, right? We have to start with what truly is self-motivation. It is a word that we hear thrown around all over the place, right? And when it comes to self-motivation, it's that motivation to do or achieve something because of one's own enthusiasm or their interest without needing pressure from others. And then there's motive, according to Oxford Dictionary, which is the reason for doing something, especially one that is hidden or not obvious. Now, I want you to take a minute and close your eyes. When was the last time where you had that motivation to do or achieve something because it was your own enthusiasm. It was your own love for it. It was your own interest. And it wasn't because you were comparing yourself to someone else or that someone else was telling you you needed to do this. But when was the last time you felt that, where you truly felt it? So with your eyes closed, go ahead and truly put yourself back in that experience. Put yourself back in, was it where you experience self-motivation around your health? Maybe you really enjoy working out and you have a high interest in it. Maybe you love getting into art and you had some great self-motivation around that. Maybe around some projects you were working on. Or maybe it was around cooking or eating healthy or organizing or reinventing your lawn, whatever it might be, right? Just think about that and what it was about that brought on that enthusiasm, that brought on that love for it. When it comes to the 5 factors, you can open your eyes now. When it comes to the 5 factors of building strong self-motivation, number 1 is you have to uncover what motivates you. And then we're going to look at that self-confidence piece. And then we're going to look at positive thinking. And we're going to look at goals and then creating that right environment for you to have that motivation. So one thing to think about here is out of all 5 of these factors for building strong self-motivation is we're also motivated by 6 of the human needs of psychology. And so in addition to all of these 5, there are 6 human needs of psychology, which drive every single decision we make. So every decision we make around motivation is driven by these 6 human needs. Now, the first of these 6 human needs is the need for certainty, that need for kind of like security, safety, you're certain. And the next need that we all have. So again, we all have all these needs I'm going to share with you, but there are 2 that each of us tends to make more of our decisions based off of. So the first one is the need for certainty. The second one is ironically the need for uncertainty and variety and that spontaneity and that spice of life. The third one is the need for significance, to feel important, to make a difference. The fourth one is that need for love and connection. So in whatever capacity that looks like, you want to feel connected to those around you. You want to feel that sense of love. And then the 5th of the 6 human needs of psychology is that need for growth. So if you're that person, you're a part of this training today, or if you love reading books or going to seminars or other webinars, things like that. And then the 6th one is that need for really giving back, that it's contribution. So the 6th one is the need of contribution, but it's that giving back to something greater than yourself or being a part of something greater than yourself. So again, if you want to write these down, the first one is the need for certainty. The second one is that need for uncertainty and variety. The third one is the need for significance. The fourth one is that need for love and connection. The 5th one is the need for growth. And the 6th one is the need for contribution. So I want you to think about and write down wherever you're taking notes right now, based off of the decisions that you are currently making in your life, which of those 2 tend to drive the outcome of your decision? So based off of this need, you tend to make your decisions. So think about it, is it that need for certainty? Is it that need for significance? Is it that need for growth? Are you always striving to learn and grow and become better? So go ahead and write down what 2 you think they are. Now, whenever I ask this question with a group, the majority of people will respond with that need for certainty and the need for significance. Those tend to be the most popular. And like I said, we all have all of them within us. And as you grow and as you develop, you will slowly get into those later ones for that loving connection, the growth, that contribution. So it's important as we talk about self-motivation, what really is a pulling factor? What are some of our needs that have been helping us make our decisions in our life? Because our decisions are what motivates us. Now, let's talk about each one of these 5 factors in more detail here. So, what motivates you? This is the first factor. I've got a whole lot of things listed here. Is it money or rewards, power and fame, recognition, success, seeking justice, helping others, your passions, your values? Now, these, you can break them all down into the 6 human needs of psychology that we just talked about. So you can see based off of recognition, that's that need for significance, right? If it's that need of helping others, that could fall into that need for contribution. So think about, of all of these, what is your biggest motivating factor right now? Maybe think about that example where you had your eyes closed and you had great self-motivation. What was that piece behind you that motivated you? Was it your passion? Was it your values? Was it what the outcome would be? Was it your purpose in life that motivated you? Take some time to think about what's currently motivating you. And is that what you want to be the thing that motivates you? Is that strong enough? How often do you follow through based off of, if the motivation is money, how often do you follow through if you know you're going to get more money versus if you know that you'll get justice, how much more will you follow through? Each person is motivated differently. So let's uncover what some of those things are that can motivate us, in addition to some of the things that I have for us listed here to consider. The first thing to do is think about, or what are your interests? So let's do this right now. Let's make this really actionable. Take time to write down right now just what 3 of your interests are. And then what excites you? What are those things that fill you with joy, that make you have fun, that make you laugh, that get you thrilled to go and do? You know, it could be vacations, it could be time with your loved ones, it could be going to the state fair, it could be whatever you want it to be. So what excites you? And then where do you find purpose and meaning? What are those things that have heart and meaning to you? Go ahead and take a minute and write those down now in your notebook. Again, this is why you want to make sure that you have something to write with and something to take notes on, because this is a very actionable session for you to do the work during it. I know it's hard for us to make time outside of trainings like this, so I want to make sure we have the time to do this now. So again, it's what are your interests? What excites you? It could be tiny or big, it doesn't matter. And where do you find purpose and meaning? Or what are those things that have heart and meaning to you? Is it a certain cause? Is it volunteering? Is it your spirituality or maybe your faith? Or is it helping others in a specific way? What is it for you? And then what do you feel that you do well? What are your strengths? What are your talents? What are those things that you're good at? And if you don't know the answer to this question right off the bat, sometimes it can be difficult for people. I would challenge you right now to whip out your phone and text someone that knows you really well. It might be a best friend, it might be your spouse, it might be your parents, coworker, whoever knows you really well, and tell them, you can even blame it on me. Hey, I'm in this training right now and I need to text someone and ask them what my top 3 strengths are, and see what they say. If you're feeling stuck with that question about what do I do well, go ahead and ask them. Or if you aren't stuck, but you're curious what they might say, you can go ahead and text them that right now. All right, so I'll give you just a minute to, again, write down any last thoughts on what are my interests, what excites me, where do I find purpose or meaning, and what do I feel I do well. And you may want to take a picture of this slide if you want to do some more journaling and writing about it after this training is over. All right, now we're going to move into this exercise. So I'm going to have you close your eyes again. And I want you to, with your eyes closed, take a deep breath in. Imagine that you're smelling those fresh cut flowers, and exhale like you're blowing out a candle. And with your eyes closed, I want you to think of a time when you felt truly fulfilled or satisfied. A time where everything felt right. You were in flow, you lost track of time, where you felt truly fulfilled or satisfied. What led to this feeling for you? What were you doing? What were you experiencing? And who or what was around you? Were you experiencing it with other people? Was it a certain place that you were in? And during that experience where you felt truly fulfilled or satisfied, what did you value most about that experience as you're thinking back on it? What meaning did you give that experience? How did it connect to your core values of who you are as a human? And now think about, that was a time where you felt truly fulfilled. How do you create similar experiences? How can you feel that way again? How can you, if it was a big scale type of deal, how can you do it on a smaller scale every week? How can you create similar experiences? Take a minute to jot down any thoughts that come to mind on that. All right, so now let's move into our second factor of building strong self-motivation, and that is self-confidence. Now, when it comes to self-confidence, there are a lot of different aspects that come into play here. And when we think about this, I've got these 4 statements for you. And I want you to identify which one you feel like is an example of self-confidence. Is it 1, I'm unsure of my ability to achieve the goals I set for myself? Or 2, when working on my goals, I put in maximum effort and I work even harder if I've suffered a setback? Is it 3, I believe that if I work hard and apply my abilities and talents, I will be successful? Or is it 4, when an unexpected event threatens or jeopardizes my goal, I tend to walk away, set a different goal, and move in a new direction? Which one truly is that self-confidence? Which one do you think out of 1, 2, 3, and 4? Yeah, well, we know 1 is not, right? I'm unsure of my ability. Now, 2 and 3 are pretty good, right? But when it comes to 3, it's, I believe that if I work hard and I apply my abilities, there's that deep belief. And when you have that belief, That's what true self-confidence comes out of. So it's that inner believing that from the get-go, that your abilities and talents, I'll be successful when I work hard. That's the key here. And another key to working hard is when I consistently work hard. Let's look at what steps there are to really increase our self-confidence, because self-confidence is an area where a lot of people tend to have low self-confidence. And there are different things that have happened in their life that have created this. So let's look at some ways where we can create and increase a higher level of self-confidence today. So the first thing that you can do is you can write down 3 things that you like about yourself. Just 3 things that you like about yourself. Write them down right now. Is it, I like how hardworking I am, or I like my strong ability to empathize, or I like how I always check in on my friends to make sure they're okay, or I like how I'm great at managing deadlines at work, or I'm very organized and always know what's coming next, or I like how I take care of my health physically and mentally and emotionally. So write down those 3 things that you like about yourself. Now, another thing that you can do to increase your self-confidence is to track your achievements. I always say, keep a smile folder in your email. So when you get compliments about, oh, great job with this project, or I really like how you handled this discussion and this meeting, your ability to see another person's perspective and create an agreeable outcome was outstanding, right? So when you get emails like that, or when you get notes of appreciation, if they're a thank you note or whatever it might be, keep them in one spot. Put all those emails where you get compliments or people commenting on your success, put it in a folder and keep those all in there. I call it the smile folder, but you can call it whatever you like. And the really awesome piece about this is that when it's annual review time, when that comes around, you've got that smile folder full of specific examples of when you demonstrated different skills, which is really helpful if you have to write one of those. All right, the next one for increasing self-confidence is to examine your strengths. Now, are you familiar with the Strengths Finder assessment? If not, I highly encourage you to take that assessment, and you'll learn so much about yourself. And when you have that greater self-awareness, that naturally starts to increase your self-confidence when you're more self-aware as well. And when you take that Strengths Finder assessment, you'll learn what some of your top strengths are. So it might be a strength of maximizing or connectedness, or a strength of being a learner, or of positivity, or of empathy, or of really being a futuristic thinker or results driven. There are all sorts of strengths. I think there's about 30 of them in that assessment. And that's a great way to examine what your strengths are, what your true strengths are. So that's a great tool for you to utilize if you want to dive into that further. And naturally, when we see what our strengths are, when we see what we're good at, that increases our self-confidence. It makes us realize, oh, you know what? I am really good at this. Or I do have this ability to do this better than most, or whatever it might be. And then you can start to look at, how can I utilize my strengths in my work every day, in my personal life every day? And then life will really start to flow in this groovy way that feels so good. Now, another way to increase your self-confidence is to ask others to describe what they see as your strengths. Again, this is what we did in that text example. You can do it again with other people. You can even send out an email to 25 of your friends and family and see what they say. You can, send the email separately so they aren't all on the same one. But that can be a really fun exercise to get a better understanding of how you're perceived, or it may show you a strength that you didn't realize you had. Or by sending that out to 25 people, you might realize that one of your strengths that you knew was somewhat of a strength was overwhelmingly present in what everyone sees in you. So that can be a really fun tool to use as well to get a better understanding of your strengths, which also increases your self-confidence. And then working towards your goals. When you can see the progress you're making, that increases your self-confidence. When you see, you know what, I can do hard things. I can make it over this obstacle. I can make it through this. It's just one small step at a time. And you see the progress that you're making towards your goals, that will increase your level of self-confidence in a magnifying way, where when you start to set more goals, you'll start to set them even bigger and better and even more connected to what values you have, and not let fear hold you back from going after your dreams and your goals. Another step to increase self-confidence is to look for ways to grow and develop new skills, become a more well-rounded person. You can take online courses. You can pick one skill each day that you want to become better at. For tomorrow, you could say, I want to be an intentional listener. I don't want to interrupt anyone. I don't want to already, when someone else is talking, think about the response in my head. I want to listen to understand them. Right. And then maybe on Friday, it could be, I want to practice my skill of empathy for others and believing the best in other people. So you can pick a different skill each day that you choose to focus on and develop. Now, when it comes to the third factor of building strong self-motivation, this is all around positive thinking. And this belief, it has a huge aspect on you accomplishing your goals and you sustaining through. This is a big piece of self-motivation. Now, positive thinking is closely related to self-confidence as a factor in self-motivation. And, when we think about this, which questions indicate more positive thinking and which ones don't, if you look at these. So the first one, I think positively about my goals as well as other aspects of my life. The second one is, when I come up with a really good idea, I'm surprised by my creativity. I figure it's my lucky day and caution myself not to get too used to the feeling. Number 3, I tend to worry about why I won't reach my goals and often focus on what probably won't work. Or 4, I create a vivid and powerful vision for my future success before embarking on a new goal. Which of these are positive thinking? Well, the first one, right? I think positively. That is a no-brainer. I think positively about my goals as well as other aspects of my life. And the last one, I create a vivid and powerful vision for my future success before embarking on a new goal. Now, positive thinking isn't about being naive. It's about believing that you can overcome. It's about recognizing, like, yeah, there may be setbacks, there may be rejection, there may be hard things that happen, but it's having this undeniable belief that you will follow through, that you will make it work, you will create a solution. Now, there are some steps for increasing our level of positive thinking. And the first one is to increase your awareness of your thoughts and track them. If you notice that you have a lot of negative thoughts, I have a client that does this, and she has 2 notebooks. And throughout each day, she likes to journal and record some thoughts. She has a notebook for positive thoughts and a notebook for negative thoughts. And it's really eye-opening when she looks at those notebooks to see which one has more in it. That's a great way to increase your awareness of your thoughts by tracking them, and positive thinking thoughts and negative thinking thoughts in two different notebooks. Now, you can also acknowledge your negative thoughts and replace them with some positive ones. What I love to remind people of is the only meaning anything has is the meaning that we choose to give it. So when we have negative thoughts, it's because we're giving it a meaning. And at any point, we can choose a new meaning. We can give anything a new meaning and create a positive thought instead. So when it's raining outside, you can be like, oh, this is good. This just stinks. I hate the rain and I hate driving in it, or whatever it is. Or you could reframe it and say, you know what? It's been quite a drought. I'm really happy that we got the rain. Yes, rain isn't my favorite, but I think it's really important that we have this. Or if it's around, how you look as a person, a lot of times we have negative thoughts. And what I like to tell people to do is when you have negative thoughts about yourself and how you look, go look in a mirror and say those thoughts out loud. Say those negative thoughts. You would never say those negative thoughts to your best friend, to your younger brother, little sister. You would never say those thoughts to your mom or your dad. So why are you saying them to yourself? And when you look at yourself and say those thoughts, it registers differently in your body. And one other thing that I like to do when acknowledging those negative thoughts is realizing that that's our inner critic inside of us that tells us those lies that most of the time they aren't even true. Our inner critic will tell us lies all day long, saying that we're not good enough, saying that we're not smart enough or pretty enough or smart or organized enough, or that we'll never find the right job, or we'll never find our purpose, or we just can't do anything right. All of those types of comments, that's your inner critic talking. That is not the truth of who you are. And what I challenge clients to do is define who your inner critic is. Give it a name so that you can start to become aware and separate yourself from the truth of who you are when you are the best version of you. And that inner critic that sneaks in and really taps you on the shoulder, it tells you those lies about things that aren't true. So one easy way to do this is to think about, the villain in a movie or in a TV show or a book or something like that. Or maybe it was that teacher that you never liked growing up, or that really cruel neighbor, or whoever it is, right? And name it that. So for instance, I have some clients, they've named their inner critic Regina George from Mean Girls. And they know that, oh, this negative thought, this is not true. This is Regina talking again. Mine personally is the one from The Devil Wears Prada. It's Miranda Priestley. So I know when those thoughts come in that it's Miranda talking. And that then signals the person to get out of that negative thought pattern when they become aware of it and they've identified it and separated it from themselves. Now, another piece is reality testing to avoid catastrophe. Byron Katie talks about this. A great way to get out of negative thinking or negative comments that you say about yourself or others is asking, is this really true? And then asking, if you say yes, do I know this is true 100% without a doubt? And if the answer is yes, I'll tell you the secret. It won't be. It's never yes. We don't know anything 100% without a doubt. So when we say, is this true? Is this really true? Do I know this is true 100% without a doubt? When we just use that 3-question sequence, that helps us reality test what's really going on here. And then also developing affirmation statements, having mantras throughout your day things like love rewards the brave, or, when I feel helpless, help someone, or I begin my day with love. You know, Statements like that can really help you thrive throughout your day can be powerful. Whether or not you want to put quotes or mantras up around your home or your office, that can be a great reminder, and it can keep you in that positivity. Another one is just to remind yourself to practice. You're not going to become an expert at this overnight. It's not always going to be a great day, but the key here is to practice and to, again, focus on the awareness and start again. Each day is a new day. Each moment is a new moment for one right action. All right, let's talk about goals here. When it comes to goals, part of goals that's really important is that setting goals and objectives to achieve the vision that you've set for your life, that will help you have more clarity and more determination and self-motivation when you've got that roadmap of where you're actually going. When you set a goal, you make a promise to yourself. Part of the strength of this is that it gives you a clear direction. It's that part of you that makes the promise to yourself, and you'll want to keep that promise. And it's the part that makes it a challenge, and it's fun to meet that challenge. Now, when writing goals, an important piece of why some people hate goals, some people love goals, some people fall flat with goals, it's because they aren't SMART goals. Now, the key with a SMART goal is that it needs to be specific. So specific. You have to be able to measure your progress so that you can see that you're making it happen. You also need to be action oriented when it comes to your SMART goals. So what are the specific actions that I can take? And then asking yourself, is this a realistic goal? If my goal is to sell my home for $1 million, is that realistic? Well, you have to ask yourself, is your home worth $1 million in this housing market? Is it, realistic for where your house is to find a buyer that quickly? Some people it totally is, other people it's not. So you have to think about, is it realistic and attainable? And then the timeliness of it when it comes to that goal. So when it comes to SMART goals, another key piece within it being specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and attainable, and timely, and how much time it'll take you to complete it, is that you need to have that purpose behind it. You need to know that why that makes you cry. And I'm serious when I say that why that makes you cry, because time and time again, when I go through the goal setting process individually with clients, when we get to that deep why, that's when the tears start to flow. And that's when you've hit that deep purpose, which will propel them through with the self-motivation that they need. So what I mean by that is, let's just use the example of, if your goal is to release 20 pounds in the next 4 months. So if your goal is to release 20 pounds by December 31st, 2021, that's a very specific goal, right? Now, why is that important? Well, maybe you think, oh, I'll feel better, or maybe I'll feel more confident. Okay, so when you feel more confident, then what happens? Well, then I like to spend more time with my friends, and I feel like I can do activities that I've never done before. And okay, so when you do all of that, how does that make you feel? Oh, it makes me feel energized. It makes me feel excited. It makes me feel alive again. It makes me feel that I can really do this. Okay. And when you feel that way, how does that impact the relationships with the people that you love and care about? Well, I become a better version of myself. I become who I'm meant to be. I become the best version of me. And therefore, I have stronger relationships with those people that I love. And I'm not afraid to show up as myself. And when you're not afraid to show up as yourself, what's possible? Most people will say anything. And that's what makes them cry. So you need to did you notice all those questions that I asked and then answered? That's getting to your deep purpose. That's getting to your deep why. That's how many layers deep that we need to go, like peeling away the layers of an onion, right? So that's the key here when you set strong goals, which also that purpose and that why is that key to your self-motivation with anything you do in life. Now, another piece with goals is you want to make sure they're not too big. You want to break them down into, again, those attainable steps, and you want to celebrate your progress. When you celebrate, that creates momentum and that keeps you moving forward. Celebrate every week something that you've done. Have a celebration ritual, whether it's having a glass of wine and writing down what you're celebrating that day and putting it in your celebration jar. Whatever it is, but create your celebration routine. All right, let's talk about this last one here, creating the right environment. When it comes to creating the right environment, this has to do with a lot of different aspects, but the first aspect I'm going to talk about is surrounding yourself with the people who foster positivity and the same belief systems as you. So I believe it was Jim Rohn who said this: you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the majority of your time with. So if you had to write down right now, who are those 5 people that you spend the majority of your time with? And when I say spend the majority of your time, it could be, oh, this is the person I'm constantly texting back and forth all day, or this is the person that calls me multiple times a day. So it doesn't have to be physically spending the most of your time with, but that you're interacting and connecting with all day long. So write down who those 5 are. Is it family? Is it friends? Is it coworkers? And then once you have your list of those 5 people, thinking about it, you're an average of all those 5 people put together. How does that make you feel? Do you like the 5 people that you're spending most of your time with? Or do you want to switch it up now? Whatever you choose to do is great, but remember, you're an average of the 5 people that you spend the majority of your time with. So it's your choice, and you get to decide what you want to do with that. Now, when we think about this final factor and surrounding ourselves with people and resources that remind you of your goals and they help you with your internal motivation, they support you. They should be those cheerleaders that when the going gets tough, they believe in you even more than you believe in yourself sometimes. So it's important to create those new ideas and those opportunities for growth. It's important to clarify your objectives and expectations from others and to set boundaries with others and communicate those boundaries to them. It's important to keep your stress under wraps. You need to manage that stress and get that sleep and practice being assertive and finding that rhythm to your work and life that feels good. Because if you don't have that balance in your work and life, or that rhythm that feels good, then that's going to tear you down and you're not going to have the energy to self-motivate. You're not going to have the energy to go after those things that are really important to you. So you need to think about what you're doing to create your motivating environment. All right, now just a couple more steps here for continuous self-motivation to think about here. It's keep it simple, run towards fear. Fear will be in your life every day for the rest of your life. And it's face everything. And some people say face everything and run. That's what they use, the fear acronym, but face everything and roar. with that self-confidence that you have. Continue learning, practicing your positivity every day. Remember, the only meaning anything has is the meaning that I choose to give it. Be patient with yourself. Don't talk to yourself. Don't say those things that you would never say to your best friend to yourself. And stop comparing yourself to others. This is your race, not anyone else's. No one can live your life just the way you do it. Only you can, and that's sacred. Take care of yourself with sleep, with healthy nutrition, with supplements for the nutrition you're not getting outside in nature, connecting to the world around you. And then always continuing to develop and stay connected in those relationships, whether it's family, friends, or colleagues that become like family to you. Volunteering, you can develop some great relationships through that. And then one last thing I want to share with you is the confidence box. And Carol Dweck, who's a PhD, a professor of psychology at Stanford University, she's an accomplished author and recommends the idea of pulling out a confidence box for those moments when you need a lift, when you need that extra motivation, when you need that extra push in your confidence. But the key here is you don't want to look at this box too often, or you'll weaken the emotional impact. Now, according to Carol Dweck, you should include the following. So I'm going to go through these slowly and you can write them down. Within this box, you could even take just a shoebox, whatever it is, but you want to have these different pieces in it. You want to have something that's proof that you can be bold. For example, maybe a photo of a time when you went ziplining or tried out for improv, whatever it is. Keep evidence of those times when you were daring in that box. You also want reminders of those you love. Feeling loved provides a social safety net and can give you strength during difficult times. You also want a symbol of a new endeavor, something like a piece of hard clay from your pottery class or a sentence you wrote in the new language that you're studying. Remembering ways in which you're pushing yourself and growing as a human being will foster that confidence and that motivation that you need. You also want a token of improvement. Quantifiable achievements provide an instant jolt of self-esteem. So for example, if you've struggled to run a block, but now you finish your first 10K, keep your race number as a reminder of what you accomplished. You also want to have an image of someone who inspires you. This will keep you motivated and will inspire you to achieve great things. And then you want to have an invitation to an upcoming social event, having something to look forward to, as well as a reminder that you are loved, supported. This provides an instant lift. And then you want to have one last thing, a reminder of a time that you helped someone. For example, maybe a thank you note from a friend or a colleague who you supported. Contributing positively to others people's lives also boosts not only our confidence, but also our motivation to keep going. So that's the confidence box and all the things you want to have in that. All right, so now that we went through all the 5 different factors to self-motivation and what you need to embody here to create that in your life, I want you to know that guidanceresources.com is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they have all sorts of confidential support, counselors who are incredible. They have expert information on topics like becoming a better listener or mental health awareness or balancing your work and life or letting go of the things that hold you back. And that's just a small portion of all the many topics that they have. So with that, are there any questions that anyone has? I've got the chat tool open here. If there are any questions or comments, I would invite you to share those in the question or in the chat right now for any questions that you have on self-motivation. And as you're typing in there, any questions or comments that you have, I just want to take a minute and surely honor and acknowledge you for being a part of this training today. With everything that you've got on your plate, that's a lot. And the fact that you still showed up here to learn, to grow, and ultimately become an even better version of yourself not only impacts you positively, but it also positively impacts each and every person that you meet. So thank you so much for being here. I'm not seeing any questions in the questions tool. So with that, I'm going to let you go for today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday afternoon and a phenomenal rest of your week. And happy September. Go make it the best month yet. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Amanda. Have a great day.